Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. Tonight, I am very excited. I have the Tedesco brothers on the show. And what we're going to do, and I want to thank whichever one of you, I apologize if I can't remember which one exactly, but that several of you mentioned I should get a hold of the Tedescos because I was looking at various types of videos and photographs and all, and I just wasn't finding that much to be impressed with, right? And the one thing I want is let's just get the accurate knowledge. Let's just do this real, you know, none of the overly sensationalistic hype. That's fun. It has its point, but ultimately that really doesn't move the UFO knowledge forward. It just doesn't. And we all know that. So tonight, we are going to look at their equipment. These guys are loaded. I mean, I'm calling them, we all laughed backstage here a few minutes ago. I'm calling them the UFO busters, man. They're like the Ghostbusters, except with the UFOs. They have all the fancy apparatus and equipment and types of cameras. That is so important because these guys are getting the data. And that is so, in my opinion, that is so cool. You got to have the reading. You got to have the stories. That's true. No, really, you do. You have to do some reading. It's great to get the eyewitness accounts. That's important information. But like Gerry was saying, the data, that's in a class all its own. Tonight, we bring you the data, as only the Tedescos have been able to put this together. We're going to focus on the science, and that's what's got me so excited. We have, just within the last couple of weeks, brand new radar data that these guys will explain on the chart what it means. We have some videos that none of the other programs have been shown at this point. One, because some of it's partly new, but I've asked them to not just repeat what was said on others, but let's see some other stuff as well. And they are so gracious with their time to help prepare this show. So I want to give a warm welcome to the Tedesco brothers. And tonight we are going to show you some stuff that is so cool, so interesting. So let's bring on the Tedescos. There is John and there is Gerry.
Hi, Kerry. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, nice to be here, Kerry.
We have been having so much fun behind the scenes, haven't we? Putting this show together. We've got a lot of videos we'll show and some equipment, but and again, I don't want to lose time because we are limited on time with your backstory that was told really good on Cold Heart. Folks can go to there. We want to jump on this science. So let me ask you right up front.
Sure.
This is the question everybody wants to know. I don't want to save it till the end. Let's get this on the table, the $1 million question. You guys show us tonight, can you discriminate? We've all heard the skeptics, and in some cases they are valid because this has happened. You've mistaken this particular video for the planet Venus, or someone took this picture and it's not a UFO, it's the moon behind a cloud, and out of focus it somehow has the shape that we would think a UFO looks like. Why is your data, how can I put this, more relevant to the reality of what we're seeing instead of a mistaken common object in the sky? How do you know these are UFOs, I guess is what we're asking you.
You want me to start that, John? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Okay. Well, what we wanted to do is, it's very easy to make those kind of mistakes, especially if you don't have ways to verify through equipment or certain apps. So the first thing we did is we put together a protocol, and a methodology to obtain discriminate between what's prosaic and what are the outliers, which would become our anomalies. So what we do is we did this in a multi-layered way. We're not relying on one piece of equipment. When we say hyperspectral cameras, we're using a various types of cameras throughout the entire spectral range, from UV to visible light to infrared, near infrared, to shortwave infrared to longwave infrared. Oh. The other thing is we're using radar. We're using a proprietary radar system with 2 radars. One's on a horizontal axis, one's on a vertical axis, and they're separated. So we can triangulate these objects. We can also get a better profile on these objects. And of course, we're the only ones using an active radar system. The other thing is we're also using handheld radars. They're in the millimeter wave radars. For
handheld radar, like policemen.
It's very simple.
Yeah, they're Doppler radars. They're all in the millimeter wave. They're 36 gigahertz, 24 gigahertz. It's a very small beam. And with some of these objects, what we're finding is that their profiles are they're small statute objects, small profiles, and radars. Typically, even a marine-based radar, which is 3 centimeters, if you're out more than 4 miles, your chances are you're not going to pick up something that's 4 meters in diameter.
Right.
It's going to be very difficult to discriminate between that. So we use some of the portable radar systems, which is a much smaller beam. It's not microwave anymore. It's in the millimeter wave, and these are, like I said, these are higher frequency radar systems. They have limited range, but most of them, will get between 2 and 3 miles depending on the size of the object. So this is something that's within the field of view of the hyperspectral cameras, and that's what we're focusing on. We want to be able to visualize it as well as measure it, and have some kind of a detection. This is something that we had written a paper, and what a good portion of the paper basically was isolating the prosaic stuff from the stuff that we would classify as more anomalous.
Well, prosaic. When you say prosaic, you mean like the moon or planets or
right?
Right. Yeah. If it's
I just want to make sure I have that.
Right. Yeah. If it's biomass, if it's birds, I mean, if it's stuff that's out on the water. We use marine apps, that sort of thing. We don't want to confuse it with a superstructure of a ship out on the horizon. With the lights that are on the superstructure. So so it's painstaking to get to that point. And we spent roughly almost through about between 3 and 5 months on the research to try to isolate what those prosaics were, what they look like, and then having a methodology to move forward to isolate that from anything that would be more anomalous.
Yeah, we wanted to define that clearly. And even for stars, for constellations, we're using Stellarium. We're using
mapping,
the constellation apps, or the astronomical apps. We're using Mara apps to identify ships on the seas that might be passing through. We're using thermal cameras with 20 to 30 times magnification. It's an 8,000. In one case, we have an $8,000 FLIR camera. So we see superstructure.
Yeah, and the FLIR camera, I just want to point out too that the thermal camera is using optical zoom. It's not a digital zoom. Yeah. So it's not taking your data and expanding it basically to get a smaller field of view. When you're doing that, you're throwing away a good portion of your data. Optical zoom takes everything that's in that image and it expands it. So there's no loss of data. There's nothing that you look at. It's not like taking an image on a computer and magnifying it, and it becomes blocky. It's pixelized. Mm-hmm. That's something that we didn't want. So it's like I said, these cameras are very specialized. The optical systems are very expensive.
So actually having 3 or 4 different kinds of cameras. Mm-hmm. The theory would be because each one is potentially focusing in on a specific aspect or a much broader aspect. So by combining all of that, you're improving and increasing your data of an object. Is that fair to say?
Right. Full spectrum range, and we have it on an array. We have them set up on an array, so we're seeing everything in real at the same time simultaneously. So it's layering the data.
You guys are geniuses. That is cool. Now we're going to look at some of those pictures of those cameras here in a little while. I've got about 12 video clips that we can show the audience. Let's take a look at some of these videos. That is just real. And some of this is brand new information, you guys. This is not old stuff. They are continuing to, well, I mean, you guys were just out before Christmas, right? I mean, you've been going out steadily ever since, what, last 3 years. So
yeah, we've
got some of the new stuff we're going to update you with. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, hey, I'm going to do the full screen.
So
hold it. Let me should I turn the sound down on this clip?
You may want to listen to some of the sounds, or maybe down, because this is 2 years ago. This is an observation we made down at Rob Moses State Park, and what we were observing at the time was a combination of what we believe to be drone-like objects as well as orbs, spheroids.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Right. And this is, like I said, this is 2 years ago, and it lasted for about 3 weeks in November.
Yeah.
In November, huh?
Right.
Yes, November of 2022. The interesting note about that is this was occurring when there was also some incursions over some of the military bases at the same time period. And Long Island is actually a pretty sensitive area. We have Brookhaven National Laboratory here. We have Plum Island Research Facility that was here, that's been closed down. We have many aerospace firms here. So it's
what is it about November, huh?
Yeah, that seems to be it was a peak time for some of this activity.
All right, let's take a look at this little jewel.
And so this was being filmed with an IR camera, a near IR camera, and the reason being
infrared.
Yes, infrared.
Okay, so with infrared, this is why it's gray. I'm saying this for the audience. And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. With infrared, you can't see this with the naked eye.
We could see you could the objects that are visible, shining visible light or emitting visible light. We can see with the naked eye. And you could also see it in the infrared. But the orb-like objects that we're seeing were changing their spectral range. They were going from visible when they would increase their luminosity to deeper into the infrared range, and then sometimes they would drop their luminosity, so it would be very, very low lux, very low lighting, so it would be difficult to see. So we continued filming it in the infrared.
Right, the drone-like objects were easy enough to see in the visible spectrum.
Okay, cool.
And you'll notice that you'll see these flashing objects, which are the drone-like objects, and then we have these objects that are orb-like. And you'll see that some of them are hovering low over the water. There's two of them that actually sit in the water.
And we were quite surprised by what we were seeing. I mean, this looked like a grid-like pattern. We had drone-like objects moving in crisscross patterns across the ocean there. From moving from the coast outward and then back again.
And of course, it's moving around because it's also windy out there, and we were carrying the cameras to get a closer look at the beach.
So those orbs are twinkling. And that one's down on the water.
Right. Some of them were actually sitting on the water.
Yeah.
So you're seeing several.
There's at least two of them, and you'll see they're very low to the water, and two of them actually sitting on top of the surface of the water.
And you'll see
the bright flashing one. And
you'll see in front of it, to the right of it, what looks like an orb.
Yeah, it was actually shining a searchlight on the orb.
Donna, another drone. These are all drones. That's a drone. There's a whole bunch of objects down here.
Now you can see them all with your eye. Any you can't see with your eye?
All right, there's one right in front of us right here. There's two. There's two. One's coming, one's low.
Now John's shining a torch at it to get its attention.
That's cool how that looks in IR.
Yeah.
No, these are not drones. These are something else.
You don't think any of these are drones?
That's why the drones are out here.
No, there was a combination of drones and orbs.
On this side.
The orbs seem to be lower than the drones.
Hovering low over the water.
You'll see one sitting on the water. See that?
Now, can you tell that by the shape, or
it was spherical. The
Let's
orbs
see.
were more spherical, and they were consistent in their
There's a
luminosity. They
drone up
didn't
there.
flash or pulse. You know, have these bright pulsations. And you see, these are
Oh,
hovering very low
They're
over the
flashing,
water.
flashing the water.
Yeah.
The water. There's something in the water. There's something
And then
in
the
water.
drone-like object was flashing a light at us near in front of us. It was looked like it was warning us away,
It's
or
right
it was
here,
maybe
Donna.
trying to
It's
get
right
our
here, right in
attention.
front of us.
Yeah, you'll see that.
It's
Different
flashing
camera
light
frame.
at you.
Yeah, it's flashing on the water, and you'll
It's
see
right
that
there.
I point the camera upward, and you see it's coming
Oh,
from a
yeah,
drone.
yeah, there it is.
Or is it on the sand?
And there
That's
it is.
That's a pretty
Oh, no.
big looking orb.
It's this thing. It's this
Yeah,
thing.
that's a
It's
drone.
flashing.
Oh, that's a drone.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about and that's a large drone. That's about the size of a car.
That's one of those. Wow, and that was 2 years ago, huh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That has to be a drone that flash.
That's a drone, and a drone is flashing. You see the drone?
Yeah.
The drone is it's over the object.
See that this is
No, the object's now it's
look, sincerely, this is why it's so cool to have your data and your information and knowledge, because as just a UFO enthusiast,
Mhm.
I already learned something invaluable tonight, right now. I had it opposite. I would have thought the bigger flashing object was the orb, the UFO, whatever you want to call it, and not the drone.
Mhm.
And it is and you're saying as a general rule, the orbs stay closer to the water.
Yeah.
Now that's
Yeah.
interesting, because that's one of the characteristics that what's his face? Lou Elizondo said one of the characteristics of a UFO
Yes.
is I can't remember how he called it, but it can fly through the air and go into the water and go under the water also.
Yes,
And
and
that's
that's
interesting.
something.
These were low, hovering over the water, not very far, probably 50, 100 feet over the water. And then there's a couple of objects, a couple of orbs actually sitting on the surface of the water.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we actually have one part of the video where one of the objects that's sitting on the surface of water, when a drone goes over, it actually instantly accelerates upward, maybe 100 feet or so, and then it just stops.
Mhm.
And it's in this video?
Yes.
Yes, and you'll if you keep playing, you'll see actually one of the drones actually turning toward the right of
flashing. The object's rotating.
if we're facing the ocean, turning towards the right
It was just
and aiming a set of looks like floodlights or a spotlight down on the
Now,
on
is
the
that
orb.
you shining light toward them?
Binocs, I can't see the
And those are the
logo.
orbs
And
that you
there's
just
one
see
over
there.
here.
Those are the
There's a
orbs.
bunch of them.
That one I can see with the unaided eye, and I just saw something over there.
There's an orb.
I don't see the one that's over
There's
right
an
now.
orb, and it's by the water. It's real close to the
And
water.
a lot of these objects you can't see with the naked eye. You'd have to have a night vision camera.
That's why it's so fuzzy.
Or I do see something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And occasionally, when they increase their luminosity, then we could see it visibly. But they were trying to
Oh,
they were
sure,
changing
yeah,
the
that
spectral
makes
range.
sense.
You see
So
it?
they're in the IR spectrum.
That one?
Yeah.
So they can switch between spectrums
Yeah, that
fairly
one's
easy.
on the water.
There's one on the water.
Oh,
You
there's
see
one
this?
on the water right
There's
there.
one on the water,
And
two on the
there's-
water, actually a pair.
I see something flashing down there.
Let me go back. It's on the water.
There's
There's
this
one
is-
just over the
This
water.
one's over the water.
And this is the Atlantic
This
Ocean.
one is glowing bright now. That
There's
one's
one low over the water.
Now the drones, are they back?
Now there's two flashing back
I
and
see
forth,
I see two rotating objects up here.
which occasionally they did that too. We're not sure if those are the
And
are the drone-like
Hey,
objects, or
what-
those were the
It must-
orbs.
Where are you at here? Are you just off of New Jersey, New York? Where you at?
We're on the southern coast of Long Island. We're actually on a barrier island. It's called Fire Island National Seashore. It's the furthest south on Long Island. It's a barrier island that sits out in the ocean, and
Oh.
there's a bridge that crosses to it. There's a long bridge that's called the Robert Moses Causeway.
Okay.
So you know what I heard someone say on one of the YouTube
Yeah, fast forward, you'll see one of the drones that's clearly visible with its spots on, and you'll see an orb in front of it.
That's
See
Okay,
this
that's
drone
one
has-
of them.
look at
that's the
headlight,
drone,
Donna.
drone-like object, and you can see it shining
see the
light on
headlight?
a low
It's lighting up the
low
cloud.
cloud.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So
reflecting on
they're
the
actually
But if you look
saying that,
behind
oh,
it,
there's a dro-
that's
there's
an
object
that's
in front
something
of
that's an orb. It looks like it's shining a light on, but the orb started to blink.
Right.
it. I
Yeah,
guess
it's right
Oh,
next
yeah,
to it. You
right
can
to
see
the
it.
right of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Down
and it's actually attempting
see
to
it
shine a
flashing?
light on it.
So now
I
can
wonder
see
if
the
anyone
scene of
with
the pink
those
dot.
drones
Yeah,
got these
and
orbs on
they all
video
looks like
from
this.
the drone.
Yeah,
That
it
would-
almost. That's where we. There's
Now,
the
here's
little
the-
drone. There's an orb right under it.
Okay, there's the drone I was talking about before.
See it?
So now I
And you see
see
it's over the
things going
object.
on.
That's the big drone. That must be a big drone. That's a big drone.
So you're saying
And there's
what's
one
one on
on the water.
That's what
Right
they're
on the
trying
water.
to. I guess that's what they're trying to study, or do.
This looked to
I
us
see
like almost like a
headlights on that
surveillance
one.
operation. And then see the
Yep.
orb brightened up, and now it appeared.
Yeah,
It
who's
became more-
surveying who?
You see this?
But the orbs always tried to keep their distance from these drone-like objects.
Look at these two: the headlight and the object.
Oh yeah, I see.
You see it? He's got the headlight. The headlight shined on the object.
And we believe it's shining on an object behind it. And of course, here you see the orb on the water, you see the orb to the left, and you see the drone above them.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Now that orb is now flashing.
Yep.
Now you look, there's one on the water there. In other words, there's
Yep.
two of
So
them.
these are. Oh yeah, yeah. You see that?
Did you
other
see it? Did you see it
Doing that
shoot
for
it?
a reason.
Do you see that orb suddenly shoot up?
one? No, that
There's
white
two
light.
of them there.
Come down here. I'm sure he's
Hold on,
getting
I'm gonna go backward just a little. I want to see if I can see that.
Doing that for a reason.
It looks like it's going doop 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 doop. Jerry, come down here.
Oh wow, it did.
Yep.
I'm sure he's getting what it is.
Well, and then it went back.
Look at
Or is that?
Yeah. Back and forth.
I'm telling you,
different
they
orbs.
are these objects all out there tonight, and they're sending a whole bunch of drones out. This must be a military operation.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, someone sent drones out there because they saw the
Those
orb.
they-
Maybe.
I'm telling
And
you,
that's what we
now
were
it's-
thinking at
now
the
it's turning
time.
Light around.
That maybe
Yeah.
this was some kind of surveillance. So we actually did an investigation after. We had Donna Nardo, who was she's a private investigator, but she was also a field researcher working with us. She did
Is
a
that
deep dive into
Is
this.
that
This
that
is
little
crazy.
blonde gal on Cold Heart?
Yes.
Bunch of
Yeah,
flashes.
she's-
She actually looked into
There's a bunch
the
of
Customs
objects
and Border
over the
Patrol. She looked at the
United States
Homeland
Coast Guard.
Security. She looked at the Coast Guard. She looked at the National Guard. She looked at the local law enforcement, the Marine Bureau, and we basically didn't get any good answers. And everybody, of course, the answer we
What's
got
that
that
big
nobody knew
bright
about.
white light coming in from the bottom? Is that someone's
Mhm.
hand?
Yep.
Or is that a spotlight?
I think this is from our beam.
Okay. That's,
And those orbs were in fixed positions in that area.
yeah, they look like they hadn't moved much.
Yeah.
These are moving a little bit.
Look at the headlights.
Now you see the two drones, and then you see the orb below it.
But look at the headlights.
But the
Look
drone
what's
is an
underneath it,
orb
though.
between the two drones.
Do you see these?
Yeah.
Drone-like object.
Cube?
They're looking at that, aren't they? They
Yeah.
gotta be.
Now, if you look
And
at the
it-
search beam on the one on the right, it's
at
actually
headlights.
trying to look at something laterally to behind it.
Yeah, but the one on the left
The one
was actually shining its beam on us at that point.
and
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
around.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they lit us up on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one on the left is shining at you.
Yep.
Yep. That's what it's doing. Yep.
Actually, it's above the water. but-
Yep, just above the water. I know.
So from a distance, the orbs
Now
and
they're shining
drones
the
look
headlights this
very
way.
similar.
Yes.
Mhm.
Some of them do. Unless they flash, you know, it's sometimes hard to
See,
tell
look at the-
apart.
look at the-
You know, if you don't see something on the periphery that's flashing.
I'm gonna shine the
Right.
light.
Or if they
anyway.
rotate a certain direction, you'll see that there's two lights on there.
Now you'll see an orb just
Oh.
under that other one to the
Something
left.
just came down. Look.
Now
Yeah,
it's
look at that.
sliding it up, sliding it up.
Oh, there it is.
From the one on the left.
Yeah,
See it? It's
no
under it.
kidding.
Actually, yes.
Is that an orb below it?
I see
Yes.
with my eyes. Wow,
Yeah, it
it's
was
so
lighting
bright.
it right up, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. it still
They
is.
see it's,
Yep.
it's actually reflecting light.
Yeah.
So it has mass.
It
So
almost
there's
looks like
some kind of mass or reflective surface of some
Right.
kind.
That's weird. It's got a yellowish. Both have a yellowish cast of light, whereas the others have a little white.
So that one was a mystery to us for a while. We had a question mark on that because we wanted to investigate to see if there's any possibility that there were drones out there, maybe from some agency. And that's
Right.
what we did. Donna do it for several months. She did a deep dive into it, and of course, nobody was aware of any drones. That's what we got. So we left it as a question mark.
Right. And with all the
So-
activity that has recently happened, now then it started to make perfect sense
Yeah.
to us, what we were looking at, and the fact that in 2022 in November for 3 weeks, these drone-like objects were seen all over the place.
Yeah. So you thought that you could see that those drones in this video clip were really quite large? How did you know that?
It's we were looking at it through. We had a set of binoculars at that time. We had, we had a thermal camera, which the weird part about it is thermal camera. We had fractional moments of light. It was difficult to see whether or not there was something else going on, around these objects, but it was very difficult to make them out with the long wave.
The interesting thing, those even on thermal, is the orbs. We didn't get a good thermal signature on the orbs. Even some of the drones too. It was a little difficult.
Yeah,
interesting. Just for the audience, the reason that was gray and fuzzy and sort of is because this is the infrared videoing that they were doing.
Right.
I know so many people say we're sick of fuzzy photos, but the power of this is it's in a completely different wavelength spectrum, which allows you to see more clearly than a regular video camera. So we have to, we the public, we just want it crystal clear all the time, and that's not even feasible.
Right, we had to balance it out because you wouldn't have seen more than half of these objects if we didn't have it in the infrared. Because most of the orbs were changed the spectral range into the infrared, so we couldn't see visibly.
Yeah, thank you for saying that's very important. Right.
And then of course we had three researchers down there moving from one end of the beach to the other. I mean, we were all taking various different footages of what we were seeing that night.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so can you guys? Yes. What is this? What are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is a 3 centimeter radar. This is a horizontal scan. We have two of them on the Nightcrawler. One is in a vertical position, vertical scanning geometry, and the other one is horizontal. And the reason why we do that is because we get a better profile if we have a beam that's moving 165 degrees, through the zenith and then across the sky. So we can target an object. We can get a fuselage, that sort of thing. We can get a nice profile of the object. This one is a horizontal scan. This is the typical 360-degree scan with a scanner that makes these rotations in 2.5 seconds. Now, what you're going to see, the radar is set up. I have it actually set up with basically 2 quadrants. On the left side is quadrant 1. On the right side is quadrant 2. The left side is east of us, east of the direction of the RV. And of course, you'll see a center line there. That's in front of the RV, the front of the Nightcrawler. Now, what you're going to see is an object that's periodically.
You probably want to back that up, John. That video a little bit.
Yeah, if we go back.
Yeah, you'll see an object that enters the it enters an outside parameter and inside. You'll see
red thing.
Right. So each one of the rings, you're going to see each ring in there. That's 2, 4, 6 miles, and you got so you're looking at an object that's moving in between 6 and 4, just around 5 miles out, and you'll see that object. You'll see a flash in there. And then it's gone.
So if you bring that back again, we can describe what's happening with that object.
Okay, so what's happening? Let it play through, because I think it's in the fourth mile. It actually splits.
Oh no, John already split.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, go back. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go back.
Is that regular time and speed we're seeing? Because that moved that 2 miles pretty flipping fast.
That's moving a lot quicker. That's moving a lot faster than an airliner.
Yeah, we estimate it based upon the rotational speed. It's doing about 650 miles an hour at that point.
So you notice the object split. Now you got 2 objects.
One's red and one's white.
Why the change? Close, or there was one object splitting.
It's one object that's split, and you'll see it. It actually does it a second time.
Yeah, I think it did the second time.
Single.
That's the first. Yeah, you have to go back further. Be the first and second time it's played.
Okay. So now you see the object that's tracking across the screen.
Yeah.
And that made
Okay.
a sharp angle turn. So it's actually tracking along the curvature of the concentric circle.
Right. And this was 2 weeks ago when we looked like we had some activity out there, some drone-like activity.
And now what you're seeing is that's a motion blur. It's called an echo trail.
It's an echo trail.
That's how fast an object's moving.
So what does that tell you? That it's moving pretty fast or pretty slow?
It's
Well,
going pretty fast.
It's going pretty fast, but what happens is it records the last position that a solid return came back. In other words, it's a memory location. So it's painting it white. Now you can see at this point the object suddenly disappeared. We no longer were able to track the object.
To us, we estimate that it was going probably close to the speed of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that moved. So each concentric ring is 2 miles, you said.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So okay.
So you got a total.
Let me back this up. This thing comes way. Yeah. See how far close to that.
So you see what's area it's covering in that short amount of time.
Now all of a sudden it blinks on, and there it is in the middle.
Now it'll say, "There's this first
split."
Yeah, it split right there, didn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, look how fast that's moving across that 2 miles.
That's moving. That's really moving.
That's faster than I can run.
That's moving at least probably close to a supersonic speed.
Yeah,
at least the speed.
Yeah, I estimate it to be close to about 700 miles per hour at that point.
And this was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yes.
This is off the coast of Long Island.
And they made a sharp turn. Now it's moving along the ring, one of the concentric circles.
It actually did, because it was coming. It was coming at that dark top of that middle circle.
Right. It was coming perpendicular, and then you could see it made that sharp turn.
It sure did. That's not a comet then. Not a meteorite.
Nope.
I didn't mean comet. I meant meteorite.
Yeah. So that's definitely an anomaly.
Is that?
And this is an object that was low over the horizon too.
Yes.
So this is your horizontal radar here, you were saying?
Yes.
Exactly.
Nice. How? And then because we see it here right on that line, it just went white and stopped moving. You're saying that tells you that it just disappeared.
At that point we were no longer able to track the object.
Yeah. So
but that means, I mean, it didn't fly further away from you.
No, it just seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, because you'll see that area is white. If the object remained in that location, it would have been reflecting it back as red.
Yeah, solid. You get a solid return. Would be red.
Holy crap! So this is telling you. Whoops! Oh, sorry. This is. I just let it run. So this is telling you that it just disappeared.
Yeah, it just disappeared. Yep.
So, okay. So since this is a horizontal radar, could this be telling you that it instantly decided to go really, really fast straight up? Is that how it disappeared?
It could have gone straight up, or it could have gone down to sea level.
It could have gone straight down.
And at sea level, we wouldn't have been able to see it.
Right.
You know, we have to have an elevation of at least 200 feet from the ocean.
Yeah. So our guess would be that it probably didn't disappear. It probably moved instantly accelerated either upward or downward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking that, and this is what I'm not trying to make too big a deal about this, but what that radar is showing us. Correct me if I am misinterpreting it, because I've never read radar, so this will be fun to make sure I'm understanding the implications of this. This isn't going like this. It's going like this, and then it's splitting, of course, but as it's moving, then all of a sudden it either went like that.
Right, because the radar takes 2.5 seconds to do a complete sweep back around. The second sweep around, it was no longer there. It was just an echo trail. It was white. An object that would have maintained its position would have come back with a red echo trail saying
Yeah,
that it was
if
a
this was
solid
an
return.
if this was an airliner, we would have seen it move another direction.
Yeah,
This
but
Yeah,
this,
just
there
goes a
you
lot
go.
faster.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this you would rightly claim this was anomalous.
Absolutely.
yes, yeah,
How could you not?
mhm, right.
And we've tested this radar out near an airport before we went out. That was part of the procedures
We,
put
we
together
make
for
baseline measurements with this
protocol.
all the time.
Yeah.
That
And,
is
and
fascinating.
something else is we're the only ones using active radar. We're the only ones. The Nightcrawler team is the only ones with an FCC license to use a radar. It's not you won't see it with I mean, you're not going to see with Galileo Project or any of these other groups.
So you have to have I know you have to be. So you got to be licensed with the. You don't have to be licensed with the FAA, do you? You said the FSC.
FCC, yep.
And that required a special experimental license. That was tough to get. John could tell you about that.
Yeah, that's not an easy process to go through. It's an experimental license. You got to demonstrate that it's being used for research purposes. You got to put an outline together. You got to basically define the amount of power that's putting out, what the location is, how far it's going to scan out. All of these things the FCC wants to know. So it's not an easy process.
So not just every Joe, Dick, and Harry has one of these.
Exactly.
No.
Okay, cool.
So we're actually the only ones in the country using an active radar system for this purpose.
Wow. Don't stop doing that. Okay,
Yeah,
come on. I know this is for my audience. I know you've seen this already if you've watched the Tedescos on other program, but I'm not kidding. I've got goosebumps. We got to see this on my show. I'm sorry if it bores you. Go take a break or something. The rest of us are going to be thrilled watching this yet again. This is one of my favorite videos I've ever seen. You guys go ahead and explain this. This is that peekaboo one.
Yes. So this one we call the peekaboo orb. John was filming this with an Astroscope camera, which is an IR camera. This was a surprise. It was an object that peeked behind his
Okay,
sign.
so an IR camera. You're not seeing this with the naked eye again.
No.
So this is important for my audience to understand this. I agree. It's fuzzy. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is they saw this because of this extra type of radars.
Right. What's interesting about this is I was actually setting this camera up when this orb was presented itself in front of the camera, and I saw it at the corner of my eye.
You just saw it
as I was putting it on the tripod, and when I moved the camera to one direction to try to catch it, it quickly went behind the sign, and I had to move the camera back again.
There's moved behind the sign. It does that 4 times.
And it's peeking out again.
There it goes
back in.
I love that, man.
So this was
so fun.
This was an object that was obviously aware of John. It was aware of the camera and what he was doing.
Now, and there is the there's the $10,000 point. Yeah, really, truly. This appears, I'll be cautious, but this appears to show some awareness. And what's crazy is you can't see it. It's your camera that sees it.
Right. And you see that.
Know that you've got that camera and it's seeing it.
Yes.
Right. And you notice the phosphor is green. It's a green phosphor because it's using an image intensifier. It's an Astroscope attachment that goes into a 35 millimeter camera. So it's a night vision. It's a night vision attachment, which illuminates the phosphor. So if you the camera itself has an infrared sensitive image sensor, but we're also using an attachment to increase that ambient light.
Yeah, that is. I don't care who you are. That is really cool. Now,
John, what time would you say that happened, John?
It was late. It was probably about 1:30 in the morning.
And the interesting thing is nobody else is on the beach. We have a permit to use that area, and the public is restricted after 8 o'clock at night. It'd be 7 and 8. We have access. We have complete and sole access to that area. The only ones that should be out there is sometimes you'll have a fisherman who'll stay out there maybe 11 to 12. And then you'll have maybe stargazers, which don't go on the beach. They stay in the parking lot.
Right.
So there's nobody else out there. There's no boats out there, too. We also look, there's no boats in the background. We have no explanation for that orb of light.
Right. No radar, no clear radar sweeps, no maritime traffic. There's no marine traffic out there that we could say that might have been it. From a superstructure or something like that.
This object was what, maybe, would you say 10 feet behind the sign, 20 feet?
I would say probably about 20 to 30 feet behind the sign.
So how far were you away from the sign?
I was roughly about 25 feet from the sign.
So that's not that far. 60
Not that
feet.
far at all.
This
It was a relatively small orb.
Yeah, it was probably the size of a basketball.
Yeah.
The cool thing is, I've been listening to the. I'm very enamored not only with what you guys are doing and your incredible, wonderful, updating story, but with the Bledsoes. And Ryan Bledsoe in an interview, well, and Chris has said this too, his dad, they have described some of these orbs as being playful, is how they put it.
Right.
They kind of bounce or whatever. And so to see this thing play hide and seek with you, I can't help it. That is just rocking cool, in my opinion.
It's
All right,
interesting.
let's go to something else.
It almost had an organic quality to it, like a living quality to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah. No kidding. That's true. Okay.
All right, this is interesting.
So, gentlemen, what in the love of Tarnation is this?
Okay, so the first thing you see right away is something. It looks like an orb-like object out there.
Is this that same beach? Is
The
that
same
the
beach.
sign? Is that
Same
the sign?
beach.
Now,
No,
the orb, I should say the orb that John's talking about is the lower object.
Right.
The object above is a planet or a star. Oh, no, Venus, I think.
No, I believe that might have been Jupiter.
Okay.
And then the below, you'll see an orb-like object. Now, if you blow that image up and look down by the fence, you're going to see something kind of interesting.
Down by the fence?
Yes, so you'll have to blow it up and expand a little bit more if you can.
Oh,
All right,
sorry. I'm trying to move
right there. Okay, now bring it down.
Oh, here we go.
There you
I
go.
can do it this way. I can do
Okay.
it this way.
All right.
Arm?
Okay, there it
Okay.
is.
All right. So this is an oddity. This was taken with one of the researchers had a cell phone camera, and she was taking pictures of this area, and specifically she was targeting the orb. When she went to look back at the images, on one frame of video, we have something there that looks like almost like a lower part of a torso or a leg or something along those lines.
Well, it looks like the lower portion of the legs. It looks like a calf, and you see it looks like there's a foot and ankle there
With the bracelet on it, maybe.
Yes,
bracelet.
Like
Yeah.
an ankle
There's an
bracelet.
anklet. There's an anklet with two polygons on it, and nobody else was on the beach. This was only in one image of the photograph. She was photographing the orb, but she was also photographing us setting up our equipment. And you see a shadow of some of the tripod there near the foot.
Was anyone near there when
No.
you?
No.
So
we were
the
the only ones
shadow
there.
of a person with the camera, maybe. Yeah, that dark spot is the tripod, and then that does look like a lower leg with the foot.
Yes.
Right.
If you look, the upper body dissolves. It does. You see the
And
the colors
yes,
dissolving.
it does, doesn't it?
And then you see the
What the
shadow. Yep, you see a shadow of the upper body, but where's the upper body? It
Right.
looks like somebody.
Oh, you
sprinting.
guys were freaking me out. No kidding.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody sprinting through the fence.
And if you look through the fence, there's wire down there. Part of the wire is reflecting light from the RV, from the lights on the RV. The other part of the wire is actually going into darkness, and it's being shadowed. which is kind of interesting because
Oh,
the angle of the light,
gosh, you guys.
it's kind of bizarre. You know, we talked to two computer scientists that looked at this video, and neither one could understand why that we were getting that kind of an
Yeah,
effect.
and both these guys do photographic video analysis. They couldn't figure it out.
Can you see my pointer
Yes.
moving around? So is this the area you're talking about? The light's reflected here, and yet the fence is dark here.
Yes,
Yeah.
and down below also.
Also down below.
Also, yeah, you can see the fence over here.
Yep, and then then you see it
through over here, but
disappear
it's right there. It's lost
Yep.
in the shadow.
It doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so the object is on the part of
wow.
that object is on both sides of that metal fencing.
Oh, you're freaking me out. That is and you say it's only on this one frame, huh?
Only on the one frame.
And there's nobody else out there. There was the four of us out there. We all were accounted for. We have no explanation who or what this would be. And it was a person who looked like a person with a very muscular calf, a very muscular lower leg.
There you go. Yeah, that really does look like a very muscular calf. And it's definitely got like an ankle bracelet.
Yes.
Well, you can see this fence now go all the way through here.
Yep.
And yet it does.
And we're using the lights of the RV that's lighting
okay,
up
wait a
so
minute, wait a minute. So the RV is back here behind where we are right now. So
yes.
We're looking out to, you're right, that fence should have white.
Yes.
There's something blocking the light here.
There should be reflection. Something's blocking the light.
Nothing there. But there's the shadow.
Yes. And your full body shadow, but where's the body?
That's not something on the RV.
No.
How far away is the RV from you?
The RV is about 10, it was about 15 feet, John, something like that, 20 feet.
Yeah, at least 20, 25 feet.
On top of the RV, you'd see the rest of the RV shadow.
Yeah, you would see the rest. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense really because the lighting is in front of the RV. So you wouldn't get any other reflection.
Yeah, everything else is behind the lighting.
Yeah, you wouldn't get a shadow.
You guys are freaking me out. That is so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is some of the weird woo that comes with these.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now you can really. Yeah, I'm telling you, that looks like an ankle bracelet. That's no.
We actually
it's almost like it's a sandal, maybe because it's a little bit darker brown down here by where the toe might be. You know,
what's interesting? For some reason, we thought about Aztecs. You know, where they dress and the kind of adornments they wear and the jewelry they wear. We actually reached out to an anthropologist who looked up, a cultural anthropologist, and she was trying to find. We zoomed in on the anklet and these two polygons on it. It looked like it was silver. She couldn't find it. She couldn't match it to anything.
Oh, that is. And okay, now this blue item, is that the orb?
And that's the orb. Yes.
Yes.
It's in the line of sight of that object too. You know, so it's
is this part of these back bushes? Is that in shadow too?
That's weird.
That must be these. That must be the shadow of these.
It could be the shadow of the high grass in the front, but I mean that's the only thing we can think of.
Whoop, sorry. Okay, there. Whoop, sorry. I get used to this yet. So this real bright white light. That's your. Yeah,
and if you look to the left of the picture, you see some of our equipment set up. It's being set up on tripods.
Oh yeah, right here. Okay, now see, there's the shadow length,
and that's the shadow of the equipment.
So this shadow is basically the right size if someone's there.
Yeah, somebody's there.
Yep. But nothing's there.
Yep.
And that's definitely not the top of this fence right here.
No.
That shape is way too wide on the bottom and too narrow.
Yeah, it didn't work.
That is something else, you guys.
That's what I said. We got together with these two PhD computer scientists who do these video and photographic analysis, and we asked them, "You guys tell us what's going on here," because we can't figure it out.
I can't help it. I like stuff like this. You need the voodoo music on. Okay, now what I'm going to do. Now let me enlarge it. Okay, here. Okay, you guys. Now tell us what's going on here.
Okay, so this is taken the night of the radar. The same night we had taken the radar information, the radar data.
Mhm.
Now we had observed some objects over the water. They looked drone-like, some orbs, and we noticed that on the spectrum analyzer, we have a 26 gigahertz spectrum analyzer, and what it's doing is it's sampling the data in a pulse mode. So any kind of quick transitions, transient signals, it's going to pick up those transient signals. And what we found is that there was two signals in particular that were exceptionally high in amplitude.
Is that
And-
these two spikes we're seeing?
Yes. One was at 1.7 gigahertz, and the other one was at 1.8 gigahertz.
Okay.
And we noticed that there's a pattern of these whenever we're seeing these objects. Especially like the last drone-like object that we saw, they seem to be it's given some kind of an indication that there is either some kind of a maintenance signal, or it's not there. It's not there all the time. It's transitory. It's not, and the spectrum analyzers, in order for you to visualize it, the spectrum analyzers have to basically freeze frame it. It's peak mode. So you got to put it in pulse and then a peak mode, and then it'll record that pulse activity, very narrow pulses. Or
And that's
otherwise
what we're seeing.
you simply wouldn't see them because they're occurring too quickly.
Oh, okay, say that one more time, John.
So right. So in order to visualize this particular frequency, the spectrum analyzers have to be set up in a peak mode or a pulse mode, where they store that last image. It freeze frames it, so you can. So it's visualized on the screen, and any kind of fast or quickly reoccurring pulse may not be seen simply because it's a very, very narrow bandwidth. It's very, very narrow, and in order to see that, it has to be pulse mode. They occur very quickly, and what we're noticing is that we're seeing more and more of these pulses that are at that 1.7, 1.75 or 1.8, 1.85 gigahertz range.
Okay, how cool is that?
Charging screensaver.
And interesting also, you're not seeing sidebands. You're really not seeing sidebands.
No, they're very, very narrow pulses.
Like an RF, like if it was an RF communication, you'd see sidebands.
Right. Just
sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
Okay.
now the nice thing about this one is you labeled it for us.
right. So the last spectrum analyzer, spectrum display was when we were out there, Gerald, a month ago, about 3 weeks ago.
About 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so this one was just done a few days ago, and now you could see that it's the same frequency marker. It's 1.716 gigahertz,
Right.
and I outlined there's the secondary carrier at 1.89 gigahertz, a secondary signal. Now these seem to be occurring together, but they're very narrow pulses. They're very difficult to capture. Without these the spectrum analyzer being on a pulse mode or a peak record mode, and you can see the levels are exceptionally high based upon the noise floor, which is the base of the signal.
So break this down into basic English for me. And
Okay,
my
so
audience. What is
Okay.
this radar finding? What are you seeing here? Is
right.
it some kind of an anomaly?
I'm not sure if it's it's an anomaly, but it seems to be occurring when we're seeing these objects.
Yeah, it correlates with the
I
objects.
see.
Yeah.
The
Right.
1.716 and the 1.89.
Right.
Right. Now,
The pair of signals accompany these objects.
Right. Now, if you look to the left side of that screen, that display, you'll see it says MKR. That's a marker. So that's a marker signal, and the marker is showing it at 1.716 gigahertz, and it's telling you below that the amplitude level, which is 508.1 microvolts. Now that's a pretty high level based upon the signal floor, the noise floor, just below that signal.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, it's shooting up in amplitude. And it's like I said, it's a transitory nature.
And that's unusual. That's very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So when you pointed your radar at that object, this is what it was showing you.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you pointed your radar at the moon or a star or something else like that, none of this would show up, would it?
No. And this was during that time frame the radar was scanning. It wasn't the exact same time, but it was as the radar was scanning and we were getting the anomalies, we started getting these transitory
These
peaks.
So this is one way that you are able to not necessarily identify the UFO, but to say, okay, now look, there is something different with what we're looking at with this radar.
Yes.
That object over there, as opposed to that object which we know is Jupiter, or that object which we know is a drone, or that object which we know is a jet.
Right. We can kind of correlate it. We can correlate it with what we have in front of us.
Right. So this is, this may be a signature. This may be a marker that identifies possibly a drone signal, a transmission, a remote signal of some sort. That's transitory. I mean, it could be the object itself. Maybe its propulsion system is producing some kind of maybe a maintenance signal or a communication signal from one object to the other.
Yeah.
And they seem to be amplitude related too, and which is kind of wondering, if there's no carrier information and it's just it's just a spike. This amplitude information may be a way of it's communicating based, determining distance from another object, or distance from each other, or distance from something else.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because normally with a signal, like say it's a communication, like a radio signal, you'll have these peaks and you'll have these side bands.
Right, control information. You'll have modulated data.
That's
there.
called a modulated signal.
Intelligence, and
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure that this is more or less almost like a clock signal. It's momentary.
Okay. Cool. I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is it's another one of the many ways that we can potentially see more completely.
Right. Okay.
Okay. This is the last one you have of this radar stuff.
Right. Okay. So again, this is a spectrum analyzer. It's a 26 gigahertz spectrum analyzer. It's made by Hewlett Packard. It's these are very sensitive instruments. It's a calibrated instrument, and what you see again, look at that marker. Now that marker keeps coming up. It's 1.715 gigahertz.
Yeah, there it is, right there. Can you see my?
Yes.
I'm running over it. 1.715 gigahertz, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's ear to ear.
And that's the peak. Yeah, you'll see the peak there. There's a little white spot on the top that's showing the peak.
Right.
And that peak is occurring at 508 microvolts again.
Yeah, right here. 500 microvolts, MR. Yeah.
And of course, this is occurring. These signals are occurring when these objects come into view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why you're saying these might be their signal.
Yes.
Yeah, it could very well be.
Okay, so that's brand new radar that you guys have had in the last week. Show up again when these objects show up that you're identifying in the sky.
Yes.
Hey, when you do find this on the radar, have you ever seen any of those objects that are up in the air go down into the water, like we saw in that video?
We have a couple of
things.
Yeah, we have a couple of circumstances where we've actually seen them drop out of the clouds.
Yeah, they drop vertically straight down.
They drop straight down, out of the clouds, and they seem to be dark. They seem to be dark objects. They go dark, and that's something else that we've been exploring over the past year, is that these objects seem to be almost absorbing light, like a black body. They're absorbing light, and when I know with some of these drones, I know there was a sheriff in New Jersey that said that when they tried to follow these drones with or whatever with a helicopter or another drone, they would suddenly go dark.
Yeah.
So we think it's the same thing that we've been observing. These objects can suddenly go dark, and they're darker than the rest of the surrounding.
Yeah.
So when you say go dark, you don't mean just shut off the lights.
Yeah. It was
No.
more than that. Yeah.
No.
It seems even the surface color or surface material.
Right. Even ambient light, there's no reflection from it.
Right. And there were times that even in using the near IR, we had a hard time seeing it. There was a couple of them we only discovered they were there because we shined the torch, we swept over it, and it actually reflected the light.
They reflected the light, right?
Yeah,
but very difficult to see.
Yeah.
And with ambient light, you don't see them at all.
You don't see it at all. Yeah.
Wow.
They can blend right.
That is so fascinating, you guys.
Okay, so what we're seeing is
wait a minute. There's four.
You see four objects.
Yeah.
And there's
This one's floating off the ground.
there's one on the water that's hovering just above the water. That was the only one that was visible. The other three objects that were hovering above it, and the other one, of course, hovering low, were in the infrared. They were further into the infrared range, so we couldn't see them visibly. And then more objects had appeared. These objects appeared directly in front of where the mobile lab was, and we first seen it on a central monitor, which is looking in near infrared and shortwave infrared and visible. You see the one light. It's on the water. There's one.
Yeah.
And these are the orbs. See, one orb is sitting on the water. It's actually rotating. It's spinning out on the water and actually increasing its luminosity as it spins faster.
Something back there. Now it's in low battery.
Now you said also that this goofed up your camera batteries.
Yes, it lets you drain the batteries, and it also gave us radar targets. Very bizarre radar targets. It created a wedge of targets in front of us.
Yeah, almost like gravitational lensing, multipath signals, propagation distortions from the radar beam. Yes. And this is something that we explore in a paper that we just had published. And it's just been released by the Open Journal of Applied Sciences.
Is it available online for free?
Yes. If you go to the Open Journal of Applied Science, it's right there. It's the title of it. It's called Unraveling Mystique: Long Delay Echoes, Anomalous Propagation of Radar Signals under the Influence of Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena.
Good gosh, you guys. Couldn't you say something simple?
It's a mouthful. It's still a mouthful.
Definitely a mouthful.
I'm just going to look for the Tedesco name.
Yes, it'll come up. It's all open.
Within the last year, so it's in the one of the recent copies of the journal.
It just came out 2 days ago.
Yeah.
No way.
Yep.
Because we were trying to understand what was happening with our radar signals. These things were distorting our radar signals. So this is our hypothesis of what was happening. Well, actually, John's hypothesis, I should say.
Right. Yeah, this is something we've been observing for a while. Both Gerald and myself. And we've also, related it to LiDAR and also a visible light. Yeah, there seems to be other things that are occurring around these objects where they're actually shifting their spectral range, and they're going through something called blue shift and red shift. And the astronomers have long known about this. When they look out into the deep space and along massive bodies, large masses in space, you could see that there's gravitational pulls or gravitational lensing of the light. The light that's moving towards you, it blue shifts. Light that's moving away, red shifts. And that's because of that Doppler effect.
Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yes. That's it.
This is your article. I'm just proving to my audience you really can find this. All I typed in was Open Journal of Applied Science, and it's right here. Volume 14, number 12, December 2024. Unraveling Mystique, Long Delay Echoes, Anomalous Propagation of Radar Signals under the influence of unidentified anomalous phenomena. There's our heroes, John and Gerald Tedesco.
Mm-hmm.
Just click on that. And
RWR1 signal on.
how cool is that? So, oh, and it's got all the nice. Okay, there you go, you guys. We can read about it right here and get kind of the feel of their science for all you scientists. Oh, here's some of their pictures I was going to show you tonight, but you can get it in this journal article of the different types of camera. Oscilloscopes and stuff like that. Here's some more that they had. That these are the Doppler range finders. And so anyway, yeah, look this up, you guys. It is as easy as falling off a log, I promise. And it is free and it is available. So there you go. I wanted to just make sure I could do that and show the audience. Very good. How cool. Now what I'm going to do is before I close this, I'm going to hit this on one of my favorites. Because I'm going to read this. You don't think I will, but I will.
It's a good bathroom reader.
Hopefully it's not too dry.
It's a bathroom reader.
Well, thank you for writing that. That's cool, though. Okay, now 35 video. What are we looking at?
Okay, so what you're seeing is one of these orbs. You see it's blue shifting, and then it's changing its spectral range a little bit, but it's also rotating. And it's moving laterally along the shoreline, very low to the water, not making a sound. And there's another object. If you look in the water, there's another object that follows it that blinks
behind it. It almost looks kind of light green, doesn't it?
Yep. And you can see this orb also. It was when it became luminous. It actually triggered our UV detectors, which means to us.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that is so cool.
That would mean to us that this might be generating a corona discharge or some kind of plasma around it.
Right. So yeah. Okay, so
you're saying these might have some kind of plasma around it, and that's what could have triggered your. And there's your instrument right there, and it is on. So what does this instrument do, you guys?
So let me.
So that's the UV.
Let me see. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's show you this way. So what happens is if it detects any kind of UV radiation, it has to be in the C wavelength, the C band. It's 185, very specific wavelength. It's 185 to 200 nanometers. The only thing that can produce that is a corona discharge, a plasma. So kind of, or even a flame, a blue flame will produce it. This thing is sensitive enough to pick. If you lit a cigarette lighter half a mile away, this thing would detect that UV radiation coming from that device.
This is so sensitive, you actually detect just the spark, the slight spark that it creates from a
right.
And that's what's turned on with that orb.
Yeah.
Right. So you're
thinking there's something with the
we believe it's got a plasma sheath around it.
Right.
That's what, dude. That is what. Damn. Let's hold on.
Yeah, I know some people talk about plasmoids and something like that.
Back to this. No, I mean that's what Lou Elizondo said in his book, and that's what others have speculated about. Why are these things so hard to get crisp, clear video? You can see it's fuzzy right here, but that's not taking away from. I can see you kind of trying to move in and move out to focus.
And that video was taken. That video was actually taken in the. It's actually bordered on the visible and near IR. So we're covering both ranges. That's why you see it very clearly. That's visible, and that's of course the visible light is shown.
Right. And on. Right, and on the other end of the spectrum, it had to be in that wavelength, in that 185 to 200 nanometer wavelength, because there's a very narrow range that this detector will detect.
Did you guys see that again?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Sorry.
Okay,
I apologize. While I was talking, elaborating, I was showing it.
This was wild. This was wild when we saw this.
See, here's what people will say. They'll say, "Well, that's just a blurry ball of light." You don't. But you can see it's clearly moving horizontally.
Yes,
and that's not. That is not a drone. That is not a drone because your instrument wouldn't have turned on if it was a drone, would it?
No,
Well, it had
no.
had nothing resembling a drone. There was no navigation lights. There was no sound.
So I just want to make crystal clear for those in my audience who always complain, and I am one of those. I'm with you. I get it. But, how come they're always so blurry? That's not convincing. It is convincing this time because of the extra instrumentation.
Yes.
Guys, this blows me away.
And we actually caught this. We actually catch this on 2 cameras. This is one camera, but we caught it on the second camera.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That is clearly moving horizontal. Now, of course, it's not zippity doo don. It's not going super duper fast.
No.
And with your instrument picking it up, that's telling me this is not Venus. It's not some kid with a sparkler. I mean, I'm being somewhat sarcastic with skeptics, but on the other hand, there's a very serious. This is one reason I wanted you guys on the show, and thank you so much for being here, because I concede entirely this video is not all that clear, and it's going in and out of clear fuzzy,
and that's
not the relevant point, though. Don't dismiss it because of just that criteria, because it triggered your other instrument,
and that change of becoming blurry and then clearing up. That's the change in the luminosity. It was, of course, it's overloading the optics of the camera.
Right. Causes a fringing effect. Blue light does that. Blue light will cause fringing, especially at certain wavelengths. The other thing is that these cameras have, we're using manual focus on them. That manual focus, and it's still going out of focus. It's still fringing. So
okay, wait. That's important. You're not on automatic focus.
No.
That's been the other complaint.
We take it out of autofocus. We take it out. You have to.
And we confirm it. We always confirm it with a second or third camera, which we did. The other thing is, I want to say something about a plane. I know somebody had suggested could it be a plane. The only plane that would fly that low and ride maybe along the water is maybe a seaplane. And a seaplane, of course, we would see all the navigation lights. We would see it clearly. You'd see clearly seaplane, especially that low and close. And we would hear the engines of the seaplane. The props.
Right. Yeah, and if there was certain type of lighting in there, it wouldn't be giving off a UV wavelength. Very specific wavelength.
There was somebody else suggesting that maybe it's a light on a sailboat. Well, unless that sailboat is 200 to 300 feet tall, I mean that's not a light on a sailboat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
And it's not the light on a sailboat is they have the same kind of navigation lights as an aircraft. That light you would say is more of a white light. You would say more or red or green, and that's not what you're saying.
Right.
Also, we'd see the sailboat because we do break out. We're using another camera. When we're using IR camera, we'll see the sailboat.
You'll see the silhouette. The other thing is mirror apps. You'll know that there's traffic moving that way. That's something that would easily be identified.
Well, so this is another really cool way you guys can discriminate stuff.
Yes.
Get rid of the superfluous, and so okay. How far away do you think that was from you?
We estimate it to be around maybe 1,200 meters.
Yeah,
from where we
were relatively close to the shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough that it had been a helicopter or plane. You would.
Oh yeah, we would have.
Definitely.
There's no question.
We would have easily made out.
I mean, you can hear helicopters 5 miles away.
Yeah,
sure.
Truly, yeah, interesting.
Plus, you would see the anti-collision beacon, which is very bright.
Oh, crap, let's do some more of this. This is cooler than all get out. I am having a ball. I hope my audience can appreciate what you're getting tonight. This is all pretty good new stuff.
All right. So this was Gerald. This was taken, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, 4 o'clock in the morning. And the police officer, this is a friend of the police officer, a bus driver, who at 4 o'clock in the morning, he saw this object and he stopped his bus, pulled over, and took his cell phone camera out to videotape it. He said it looked like a Christmas ornament with a kaleidoscope of colors of light. Spinning. It was spinning.
And there is a zoom in at one point, let's say.
Also, this was taken over the central part of Long Island. It was over a highway called Middle Country Road.
Right. I think
an area called Middle Island.
Yeah, I believe I have another copy of it zoomed in, and you can see that kaleidoscope appearance. Now, there's something to the kaleidoscope appearance too.
Well, what
These
is
objects,
this thing over here? A light pole or something?
I think it's just a reflection. It's glare.
Yeah, it's a reflection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So what's happening is the object seems to, when it rotates, we went frame by frame. When it rotates towards the observer, it blue shifts. When it rotates away from the observer, it red shifts.
And this is pretty. This is similar to a lot of the objects we were seeing.
so say that one more time. When it rotates toward the observer.
Yes, when it rotates or moves towards the observer, it has a tendency to blue shift, and as it's rotating away or rotating away from the observer, it red shifts.
That's
And
Doppler effect.
that's a Doppler effect. We actually believe that it might be some kind of gravitational lensing.
Oh, so okay, so what would that mean?
So
Explain why that would be significant.
right, so I guess there's prevailing theories out there that these objects are they have a gravitational field. Their propulsion systems is warping gravity or warping space time around them. And by warping space time, it's producing a gravitational lensing effect.
Yeah, so it could warp. It could actually, if it's warping space time, it's going to warp light too. It's going to do. It's going to have.
Now, is this science fiction or can this actually? Is this based on some of the?
This is based on astronomy. It's based on actually theories. Actual science, the science of astronomy. When they're looking at massive objects like suns or black holes, or
Yeah, if you were to compare it to a black hole, it would be the darkest area of the black hole, the singularity.
Okay.
And then in the singularity, there's no light that escapes it. But on the outskirts, it can actually bend light in such a way that you'll have this Doppler shift, this wavelength shift from a shorter wavelength into the blue, and then a wider wavelength into the red.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting that Doppler effect on this.
Yeah, we believe that's what we're seeing. When folks are seeing these things, and they have this kaleidoscope appearance to them, I believe that's a Doppler shift that they're seeing.
That's interesting, man. That is. I'm going to do some study on this gravitational lensing and all, because I'm reading Colonel Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, on Richard Nolan's recommendation, and I think Corso talks about this idea of somehow and I mean, he went through the Roswell stuff and all that jazz. He was talking about this idea of manipulating the gravity and space and stuff around, but it wouldn't affect someone in the craft. The G-force wouldn't.
No.
Even if they were manipulating the space-time continuum thing.
Right.
Yeah, it wouldn't be affected inside. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're assuming, of course, that to be the case.
Of course. But I mean, we've got a video that is giving. It was rotating, and it's giving us a Doppler situation. So
Right.
I mean, this is how we build clues. This is why it's so valuable.
Right. This is the one thing that was troubling us for the last couple of years. Is why are we getting this kaleidoscope appearance to it? It's not just color shifting; it's actually producing this kaleidoscope, but very vivid primary colors. You see this red shift, and you see blue, and then you see the colors in between. But as it rotates, you see it very defined.
Yeah, there was some yellow looking up there a little bit.
There's also black. There also look like poles around the object. They're very black. Like
right. That's the other thing.
Like light it seems like maybe light's not escaping.
Right. There's very, very sharp contours on these objects, and if you look at them, there's no fringing of light. There's no fringing of color across those dark areas, and we're wondering whether or not that might be the singularity. That might be, maybe the almost like the object itself is moving like a black. It's moving in and out of time, space time, like through a black hole.
Yeah, especially if you're controlling gravity. The theory is if you have a gravity generator, or if you have some kind of craft with a gravity generator, what you do is if you could contract space-time in front of the object and expand space-time behind the object, it would fall forward and it fall very quickly.
Right, right.
I think I understand that. Okay, let me ask you this, you guys. Not Newton, sorry, Einstein basically, for all intents and purposes, said that gravity was just the curvature of space. So is anti-gravity just straightening out the curvature of space? Would that do it, or am I not?
I think anti-gravity is the complete opposite effect. It's like two opposite poles. You know, and if they come, I guess if they and I'm not a physicist, but you know, supposedly they can't coexist at the same time. You know, gravity and anti-gravity forces.
Kind of like matter and antimatter.
Yeah.
That's referred to as antimatter and antimatter. They cancel each other out.
Right.
Yeah. That would be the impression.
That's above our pay grade.
Yeah, I mean that's up to the physicists. Like I said, they can hypothesize and theorize some more. You know, of what we have.
Let's take a look at this one. Can you see that? Yeah.
Okay. Yes. This is that same video, but it's been enhanced, so you can see it a little bit closer, and you can see that kaleidoscope appearance.
So all this stuff over here is what? Just reflection of
It's just
something?
reflections on the
Yeah.
glass.
And I think at some point I slow it down.
So how did you enhance this? What do you mean enhanced?
Well, what we do is we use a tracker software. We expand it, we magnify it, and we go frame by frame, looking at it in slow motion to see exactly what it's doing, how it's rotating, and you know, which way the colors are shifting based upon that rotation. If it's rotating towards us or away from us, you know, we're making that determination at this point.
Okay. Yeah, that is. You can definitely see the red, blue, and the different kind of whites and yellows.
Yeah.
I interviewed both the police officer and the friend who took this video. So he said this was perfectly stationary, and it was. You could see it in the video. And he says that he was mesmerized by the changing colors and it's spinning. It looked like a Christmas ornament or a disco ball or something.
Right, and you'll see what Gerald talked about before was those very defined black lines, almost in the shape of polyhedron around it, and that we're wondering if there may be some kind of poles.
Yeah,
to a gravity drive or something like that.
That is really interesting. So this isn't a drone.
We don't believe it is.
No, I mean, I know some folks are using the term universally. You know, they're saying drones.
Yeah, this is more
orbs and so forth. You know.
Yeah, this is more the orbs we're seeing. What we see is when they're highly luminous, they tend to look more spherical around. When the luminosity drops, we see this polyhedral substructure under it.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I am so glad you guys did this. This is really, you can see the polyhedral aspects of it.
Right. And what we're wondering too is that some of these Navy videos that's showing a halo around these objects, what the thermal cameras is showing is that they seem to show that the object is much colder than the environment around the perimeter of the object. We're wondering whether or not it's not really colder, but maybe it's more due to a gravitational lensing. And the thermal camera is the wavelength of IR energy is following the same rules as light, radio waves, and so forth.
Yeah.
That's an interesting speculation. Yeah, I can see why you. Yeah. So even this isn't going to get really super crystal clear.
Right, but if you look at it, you'll see that the one side is dominantly blue, then the other side is dominantly red.
Yes.
In the direction of rotation.
And of course, this doesn't fit anything normally flying in the air.
No. It really doesn't, does it? No. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Huh. Wow. How much fun is it? This is like having our own science teachers right here, man. It doesn't get better than this.
Mhm.
You guys are becoming superstars, and I, for one, am signing up for your class, and you can't get out of teaching it to us. So, all right, let's.
You'll be sorry.
Yeah, whatever. All right, let's take a look at this one. I am having so much fun. I want to do. Okay, this one looks interesting. All right, let me share the screen. And okay, now this. Oh yeah. This is the magnified view of a polyhedron at cut. Let's take
Yes.
what we're talking about here, and this is 44 seconds. So, all right, here we go. What are we seeing here, gentlemen?
On a fire element.
Whoa.
Okay, that's a generator you hear in the background there. So, all right, so this is a magnified view of a polyhedron, and you'll see in the center there. Okay, so
Screensaver.
Yeah, up there is an insert of the
Okay.
video.
Yeah.
And we're,
All right.
we're of course we're putting a box around the object so we can enlarge it.
Yeah.
And if you
Sure.
look,
Sure.
and you look and see that it's got the same qualities as the last video. It's a kaleidoscope.
and
It's
and you
doing
can
the
see,
same thing.
You could see it's a polyhedral object. It's got several flat-sided faces. It's rotating.
Man, that little thing is moving around, isn't it?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
What the heck? Did you see how fast it left your field of magnification? Wait a minute. Is that it? Oh, man. Hold on. We're going to look at this again.
And it's
That-
displaying the same properties too. You know, that kaleidoscope appearance.
It is. It is. That is. Yeah. So this little white box is this big area here. You're
Exactly. Yep.
just bringing it in so that we can see it. Okay. So there it is. All right. You've got this little guy. That's a pretty good magnification, Joe. Yeah, you're right, though. You can see it changing and morphing like a kaleidoscope, and the color changes.
Hmm.
Reds and blues. Well,
Yep. Blue and red shifting.
blue and red shifting.
And you can see the multi.
What else could you call it?
You
right?
can see the multi-flat-sided surfaces as it's rotating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like spinning. It's almost like spinning a cube, or something like maybe an 8-sided polyhedron. I don't know how many sides is there, but it's definitely a polyhedron of some type.
Yeah. Yeah. Multi-sided object. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. There's always some kind of at least it appears there's always some kind of once you get magnified inside
Hmm.
the sphere, there's some kind of a polyhedron. Whether some people have said, yeah, it looks triangular, some say square.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the question is how is something like that staying aloft in the air? How's it flying?
What's its means of propulsion?
Yeah.
I mean,
what's its
hey,
propulsion?
listen, Mr. Smarty Scientist. It's staying aloft because of the thruster backside that you can't see. All right, let's look at another one of these. We're almost done with these, actually, which is too bad.
Mhm.
I'm loving this. Okay, this is so fun. Thank you for sharing all this wonderful stuff. Okay, this
Sure.
is I don't know if you know what RMSP is. Let me just share it real quick. Okay.
The Robert Moses State Park, it means.
Oh, okay. Okay, so explain to us what we're seeing here. What's this?
So this was an orb that we saw, that we had an experience with in August of 2022, August 28th, and we were able to zoom in on the object. And what I did is I took the image and I inverted it. I went negative to try to pull out some more detail of the object itself. And what you see a light or some kind of a luminous center and a sphere around it. And this is typically what we've been seeing. So it's a perfectly rounded sphere, but it seems to distort light around it. And what the two images there is, like I said, one is the normal representation, the other one is a negative of the image.
And that envelope, that spherical envelope, it's also trapping the light within there.
Right.
Yeah, you mean that dark area around it?
Yes. We kind of suspecting that it might be the same description as what the Navy pilots are saying. I know Ryan Graves had pointed out that there was a cube within a sphere.
Within
Oh,
a
look at
sphere.
this one. Yeah, look at that square there. It kind
Yeah,
of looks
so that,
Right.
that resembles what the Navy, fighter
That's what-
pilots were seeing on
That's
the East
what
Coast.
that's what we believe, that it could be the same object.
Yeah.
So does that light? Well, I mean, obviously it does. That light shape. Well, maybe it's just starting to take its cube shape there, and now it's really cubed.
Hmm.
Oh, what's this?
Okay, this is an expanded view of the inside of it, and it almost looked like almost like a plasma of some sort of a plasmoid. I know some folks in the New Jersey area, when they zoom in on it, it looks that has a certain state around it. It looks almost like I guess what they're describing as a plasmoid.
Okay, so straight up question: how do you know this isn't just a light distortion from the camera effect on
Well,
this?
if you look at the diagonal lines, they're pretty clear. They're pretty sharp. You see them?
Oh, I sure do.
There's horizontal lines and there's diagonal lines.
Mm-hmm.
And on the outskirts you see these square plated ends.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That is pretty focused in there, isn't it?
Yeah. And you do see the blue and red shift. You see the blue to the
the blue
lower
down here,
left, and you see
lower
the
left,
red shift to the upper
purplish,
right.
purplish, and then the red. Oh, yeah. So that is rotating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how interesting. How interesting. Okay, here's another version of it. So it doesn't stay perfectly spherical, but it's like an oblate spheroid, like our
Yeah.
Earth somewhat.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much what people
Boy,
describing as the
halo
orbit.
around that one.
Yep.
So why is this one so white in the middle like that?
When they spin up,
Yeah.
when we notice when they spin up, they get brighter. They start to move into the visible light.
Yeah.
Oh, so all of this is IR?
This is IR, and actually no, this is more. The last frame too is part visible.
Yes.
Oh, so when
This is a color night vision camera.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'll bet that.
And even if you look at this object, it looks like flat plated ends. Even if it's spherical, it looks like maybe it's a more complex polyhedron.
Mm-hmm.
The more sides, the more sides it has, the more spherical it'll become.
Yeah. When you say spin up, you mean
Rotating? Yeah.
You notice like the one over the water, and there's some other ones that when they rotated quicker or faster, the quicker revolutions, the luminosity seemed to increase.
The faster it spun. Yeah.
Right.
The faster it spun. Yep.
Okay, I remember saying something like that. I must have heard that in one of your videos because I've said that in one of my videos too. And that is an extremely interesting thing because drones don't do this.
No.
Stars that we look at with the naked eye don't do this.
No.
Yeah.
They twinkle, I'll grant that, but they don't do this.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, scintillation, I guess they call them.
I mean, you'll see the scintillation of a star, maybe with clouds moving in front of it, or the atmosphere, but it's not the same.
Why are there two here?
So there was two objects there. There was one object and the one just below it.
So is this one of these?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that was taken from the same night, right, Charles?
Yeah, and the one below it, you see, it's not camera's not capturing the full spherical envelope, but you do see the square light inside it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow, there we go. It's taken off.
And that's one that was moving, yeah, and we had that red shift behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait. So this started to move. It almost looks like it started up here and it turns and goes that way.
Yeah,
was it moving fast or just slow?
That object accelerated rapidly. It was a sudden acceleration.
Yeah, and with a rotation.
With a rotation, yeah.
Okay. This is so stinking cool. I can't help it. You guys are bringing out the monster in me. Okay, let's take a look at another one of these. I got through all the video clips you shared with me, which is really good because those kind of helped us see the important There was a couple of things I really wanted to emphasize tonight, and I think you guys really helped me do this. One, for my own satisfaction, for my own peace of mind, because I believe UFOs are real. On the other hand, I believe UFOs are real means I really have to watch my bias more carefully, right? I don't want to just gather information that supports my belief and ignore everything else.
Right.
So in the process of that, I've ended up debunking quite a bit of stuff, and I've somewhat come to understand the main arguments. I say main. There's many arguments against from a skeptic, but my overall impression, no offense against the skeptics, my overall personal impression is you can debunk anything. You can take your skepticism so far over the edge that it prevents you from knowing instead of helps.
Right.
And that's hard to explain. It would take a philosophy lecture on a video. If you really want me to try to do that, I will for you, not right now. But that's see, the opposite of that would be the absolute, without fail, total faith believer.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing against either one of those people, but the extremes are not what to shoot for in order to have a rational improvement, a rational knowledge, a rational understanding. That's how you want to get that middle.
Right. Either extreme will be self-defeating.
Right.
Like we took a totally objective point of view. We were completely agnostic when we got into this.
Yeah.
We didn't decide what they were alien or they were extraterrestrial or whatever they were. We were looking at unknown air traffic. That's what we were looking at.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to have that self-skepticism too. I mean, we've been doing that all along. I mean, we'll look at certain things and we'll say, "Wait a minute, could it be this? Could it be that?" And we'll go back and forth, and then we'll try to disprove it. And then it's not until the second, third time we're seeing it, or that we've run out of explanations that we'll say, "Wait a minute, we have to find something that that kind of fits here, that fits nicely within, the parameters that we're trying to identify."
Right. And the other thing is the more data points we had on that object that confirm what we think it was, that's what we stuck with. If we didn't have enough data points, if 1 to 2 data points, we kind of put it off to the side.
Yeah.
Focus on that.
Well, when you have the radar, and when you have the LiDAR, and when you have the night imagery and all of that, and then you have the IR, which is another level, so to speak. That would help either reinforce it so that you can agree to say, all right, based on all our criteria that we understand at this point, we would have to say that's anomalous, or it could show you, nope, that's just something regular.
Right.
What do you call the regular stuff? What's the word?
Prosaic.
Prosaic, yeah. So that's important, but you've got different angles and approaches to do that with. No, that's excellent.
An interesting thing, we had a group of scientists out there one time, and they were all physicists. And what we showed, we were showing what we were doing, demonstrating our equipment. They wanted to observe everything, and it was over a 2-night period. We saw lights on the ocean, just a little bit above the water, and it was at a distance, so you couldn't really make it out. It was very dark out too. So it was just these two or three main lights that we saw. So we went through Mara apps to see if the boating out there. It did say there was a boat that was out there. So we took our optical zoom thermal camera, which is a high resolution thermal camera, and we zoomed in on it, and we could make out the thermal silhouette of the ship with the lights on it. And we demonstrated this. We showed this to the physicists, so we were able to show how easy it is to identify, that with using the right equipment.
Now that's really important. Yeah, the thermal camera, that was the other one. That can really help you say, oh, nope, that's a ship and its lights.
Exactly.
Yep.
Don't waste our night on that. Let's keep looking. Yeah. Or instead of mistakenly saying, from here, that looks like a UFO.
And this was close. This was close to a military grade FLIR camera.
FLIR.
Yeah, forward looking infrared.
Forward. Oh, FLIR.
Yeah, FLIR.
Forward looking infrared.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll get the acronyms and terminology. You know what? I want to, all of this makes me want to come out and go up and down the coast with you over a 3-day weekend, man. I'm telling you. That would be so cool.
You got to come out.
Thank you. I will. I think, I could make a documentary with everything.
Sure.
Documentary.
Absolutely.
That would be a hoot. I'll even buy you hamburgers and fries.
Sounds good. We're on.
Hey, you guys are like the Lost Brothers, man. We're like brothers. We gotta go have a burger and fries.
We do
Lost-
have those
the Lost
relaxing
Boys.
moments. We're people out. We usually get we'll usually get hamburgers, or we'll get a few pizzas, and we'll have that out there.
Nice.
Mhm.
I'm all over that. Yeah, sometime next summer. I think I will make that arrangement with you.
Absolutely.
Oh, let me think of what else. I wanted to thanks for sharing the science end of this, because it's so
No
important. And of course, one more time, and you have to say this simply because of the nature of this issue. We didn't prove UFOs tonight.
Mhm.
I think what we have helped our understanding with, however, is the value of a multiple, I can't say multiple discipline, but a multiple instrument approach.
Yeah,
Mhm.
multi-mode or
Gives us-
multi-mode system.
Yeah. It gives us a better clarity, and that's a move forward. And I know the people who are skeptical and impatient, I'm with you. I swear to goodness, I get it. But this process, how many hours have the Tedesco brothers spent on weekends with their incredible equipment and seen nothing?
Yes,
You know?
it was quite a bit. Yeah,
Many, many hours.
Yet it just makes that sweet spot so much better when you
Mhm.
see the anomalies. I mean, seriously. And all of it is sensational to me. But you know what the best part of tonight was?
what's that?
That fence and that shadow.
Yes.
That wasn't the only other weird thing we don't have a neat package for that. We had another night where we had and we have it on other pictures. We have footprints that were found in the sand, in the wet sand, but it started in the middle of the beach, and there were 3 pairs of them heading towards the water. And we thought normal. It was little bare footprints, but they didn't look right. The toe area was very wide. So we went over there and looked at it. And we counted 6 toes on these footprints. They had 6 toes
No.
and extra long digits. The toes were like twice as long as a normal toe.
And the reason why we saw this is because we were looking at the sand with a thermal camera. You
Yeah.
could still see the heat radiating off this
These were
footprint.
fresh.
The
Somebody was
fresh-
out there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Somebody was out 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody else was out there with us, but it was fresh footprints it showed that somebody's out there. They made it maybe 10 to 15 minutes earlier. And we
Mhm.
didn't see it out there.
But sand wouldn't hold heat for a long time, would it?
It would with a thermal camera that can discriminate between a fraction of a degree.
And we tested it. Of course, we did a comparative analysis. We made our own bare footprints, and we traced how long it would stay warm in that temperature in that sand. So we made a comparison.
Nice.
And then we took those footprints and we showed them to two anthropologists, all cryptozoologists, and the third one was just a cryptozoologist. The one anthropologist was a primate specialist, so we showed him the footprints. It was a Dr. Jeff Meldrum. He said there were quite
Jeff
abnormal.
Meldrum?
Yes.
Yeah, I know him. I've had
He's
him
a
on
famous Bigfoot.
I haven't had
researcher.
him on my show, but he's
Mhm.
he's just,
Yeah. So he said they were completely abnormal. He said, we didn't tell him what the footprints. He says, yeah, it's an extra digit. He says, but it's abnormal. He said, where'd you get them? So many researchers, and he said he went into a period of disbelief. He said, did one of you, are you one of you joking? Did you scratch out another toe? We said, no, we didn't. The footprints, we didn't touch the footprints. They're as is.
So what made you think of pointing your heat camera at the sand?
Because we come from a forensics background, so we wanted to determine how fresh the footprints were.
Oh, you
Right.
saw You saw the footprints and then used your camera.
Yeah, then we used the thermal camera. See
You
if they
didn't
were correct.
find him using your thermal camera.
Yes, it's a yeah. That's we were actually walking on the beach with the thermal
It showed the
cameras,
heat of the
and
foot.
we were looking for heat signatures.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing that we saw in the middle of the beach was something that had a slight glow to it, and it was still warm enough against the cold background to give you that differential.
Because the weird thing is, we said nobody else was out there. Who left the footprints? So we went over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's the fun of having all this stupid scientific crap so that you can play with it. You guys are like a bunch of grown-up kids.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is really cool. That's fun. That's cool.
There was a couple of
I still think that's one of the.
There was a couple of interesting. The gate, the distance between where the shoulders would be, it was narrower than the distance between my feet, and it was also longer stride. It had a much longer stride than mine. It had like 29-inch stride, something like that, which was weird.
29.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was so like somebody with either long legs. The other thing is the ball of the foot and the heel impressions were 2.5 inches deep in the sand, in this wet sand. It was compact. I could only leave like an inch impression with my weight. So something was heavier than me.
Yeah, it was running on its balls of its feet.
Yeah, it looked like running on its balls of its feet. Yeah. It was sprinting. Well, that's what Dr. Jeff Meldrum said. It looked like something sprinting. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we actually showed a second anthropologist. He says it looked like the toes were so long that he says they're abnormally long. He said it looked like it did something arboreal that climbed in trees, or it was something that was aquatic for swimming, which was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, we don't know what to make of it, but that's where we left it.
But it's fun to have anomalies like that because that's what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
I mean, besides love works, but man, the mysteries, they're a blast. Hey guys, I have kept you long enough. I apologize, but not really, because this is so much fun for me. I know my audience is going to wig out, and if I could, I would just like to publicly invite you back someday, and let's do this again and again, because this stuff is just so. I think this will help get. I don't know how to say this. I try so hard not to insult people, but every time I open my mouth, I insult someone somewhere. This type of study will help get the right kind of people involved with ufology for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way I can put this.
Sure.
And so that this gives me hope. This is a lot of fun. So, all right, you guys, any last words you want to say?
No, I just say you check out our website. Our, we try to update it on a regular basis.
And what is your website?
It's a domain name, all one name, Nightcrawler, EyeOnTheSky.org.
Sky.org. Let me pull it up here real quick.
And let me show you something else.
Okay, and this is the YouTube or the.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh,
that's our website.
Oh, there's your home right there.
And there's the book. That's the hardcover edition.
Okay, let me. Oh, you got a book. I've got to get that book.
Yeah, Amazon is available. Electronic version or soft cover, hardcover.
Can you guys see that? Is that your website?
Yep, that's it.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to show a picture of your RV. There's their RV.
Here's the Nightcrawler, and you see it's got the radars on top. You got a pan tilt camera. You got RF antenna in the front. You got a roll cage around it. It's a tank.
Hey, now I heard someone ask you about it being a Faraday cage. What does that mean? What's a Faraday cage?
Yeah, so it's got inside the walls. There's a metal screen, a metal mesh, and once the windshield is covered with this netting, it's completely isolated from any RF emissions on the outside. So if you brought a cell phone in, you wouldn't get a signal. It blocks out anything on the outside. If there was an EMP pulse, it probably wouldn't affect the equipment that's in there.
Yeah, we did that to protect the equipment from electromagnetic interference. So we get pure signals, we wouldn't get signal noise from the outside.
I mean, that's a heck of an investment. So, I mean,
Yeah.
for real, okay, cool. Yeah. So for my audience, there's the, let me do one more thing real quick before I let you wonderful guys go.
Well, also, if you look in the background, we had an area called the east end of Long Island called Camp Hero. It's a decommissioned military base. You'll see a large tower with a radar antenna on it.
Right. There was quite a few stories based on that. Well, Joe, what was the project at the time?
The Montauk Project.
The Montauk Project.
It's a legend that's on Long Island about a time travel experiments and UFOs and opening doorways to other dimensions, all kinds of
wormholes. Yeah.
Nightcrawler eyeonthesky.org, right?
Yeah,
that's it.
Nightcrawler eye on the sky. Okay. So for my audience, take a snapshot of that with your camera or whatever so that you can go look at this. And they've got all their stuff on this. So I have not seen your website before. I didn't do good enough research. I've just been so excited to have you on. I thought I'm going to go in this cold turkey and let you guys teach us. But yeah, everybody go on this and check these guys out. I'm sure they've got much more that
there's quite a few
we have
pages.
not had a chance to get on tonight, but we were able to show, what else was fun tonight is we were actually able to show you a lot of the updated
and a lot of new stuff too.
Continue doing. And it's just fascinating. It's really cool. So, all righty, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Right, Gerry.
Thank my audience again.
We
will catch up to you just as soon as we can. And we'll see you on the next Backyard Professor Responds video very shortly.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good night.